Right, hi guys, how are you? We're back, and this time around we're going to be looking, we're still on genetics and inheritance. So today we're going to be looking at genotype and phenotype, but to recap the previous lesson that we had, lesson 3, and looking at our exam guidelines, we have already covered the mentioning of Mendel as the father of genetics. I hope you did not forget what I told you yesterday, that you are to write the descriptive term in, which we got from the 2015 exam guidelines, which is that here you take your exam guidelines and then you write differentiate between the following, so that you have 1, chromatin and chromosins, number 2, genes and alleles, 3, dominant and recessive alleles, and also, of course, stating the law of Mendel, the law of dominance, Mendel's law of dominance. And then now today we're going to be covering this area. We're going to cover this area, phenotype and genotype. Where did we get this differentiate from? It's a clue that was left in the 2015 exam guidelines. So you need to take your exam guidelines, your 2017, and then you write that as notes, so that you know what is expected of you. At least you have a clue of what's expected. Of course, the 2017 guidelines are the updated ones, and these are the ones that we use. It's our Bible. Listen, you can't be doing life sciences without an exam guideline. You can't. And if you're my student, you know you have them. But if you're a student from somewhere else and you don't have the exam guidelines, please download them. That's the best I can say to you. Right, so today we are looking at phenotypes and genotypes. Right, what the terminology behind genotype and phenotype. Right, we have now learned that, let's move this. Right, bingo. We learned that there are alternative forms of a gene in our previous lesson that are found in the same locus and provide different expressions for a characteristic are called alleles. Right. Remember that when we are looking at Mendel and his hereditary experiment, let's do this. We have right. We have these 7 characteristics, and what do we get? These 7 characteristics, and then we notice that for each gene, seed color, gene, flower position, gene, flower color, gene, seed shape, gene, pod shape, gene, pod color, gene, stem length, gene. For each of these genes, you find that there are 2 alternative forms of expression for the same gene. And we looked at this yesterday. So if we now look at where are we? Right there. So alternative forms of a gene are found at the same locus. They provide different expressions of the same characteristics called alleles. Right. The composition of a gene pair, 2 alleles for a specific trait, is known as the genotype. You need to cram it. Let me repeat it. The composition of a gene pair, bear in mind that a gene pair has what? 2 alleles. For a specific trait is known as the genotype. Past exam question. Also found in question 1.2. Right. An organism's genotype is represented by 2 letters. Let's go back. The composition of a gene pair consists of 2 alleles for a specific trait is the genotype. The composition of the gene pair consisting of 2 alleles for a specific trait is known as the genotype. Let's stop there before we rush. Let's go back to Mendel. in this experiment. So we have been told that a genotype is the composition of a gene pair, and of which we know that a gene pair consists of two alleles, and that are coding for a particular characteristic is a genotype. Now listen to this. For any gene here, if you look at seed color, the gene pair for a particular pea plant, let's make a pea plant. Maybe that will help us to go on. Let's make a pea plant. Let's make a pea plant of our own. Right. Our pea plant has purple flowers. The flowers are positioned on the axial position. Remember I told you that this you don't have to know. Like you don't have to know that this is yellow, the seed color is yellow, and this one is green, and the flowers are purple and white. You don't have to know that. I'm just using this now for the purposes of this lesson. Right. Seed color, let's say that it's green. The seed shape is round. The pods are constricted. And the pod color for those same pods is yellow. And then this pea plant is tall. Right. That's our new pea plant. Imagine that this pea plant is right in front of us. And it's got those characteristics. Purple flowers, axially positioned, green seeds, and the seed shape is round. The pod shape is constricted, the pod color is yellow, and the pea plant is tall. Right, let's go back to them. The composition of the gene pair, two alleles, for a specific trait is known as the genotype. Now listen to this. Let's go back to our flower. We have this flower that is purple flowers that are found on the axial position of the plant. The seeds that it produces, this pea plant, are green. And the seeds are round in shape. So, and the pods are all that and everything, and it's tall. Right. Let's pick any one of these characteristics. Let's put a stem. We are saying that the pea plant is tall. Good. So the pea plant is what? Is tall. Let's go back to our definition. The composition of a gene pair, two alleles, for a specific trait is known as the genotype. Remember what we just said. We agreed that our pea plant, the one that we've just made, that is here in our minds, right in front of us, is tall. This means that for a tall pea plant, for a what? A tall pea plant. For this pea plant to be tall, it must have a gene pair. Give me a second. It must have a gene pair. That is what? A gene pair that has two alleles, and the two alleles together are ensuring that the plant becomes tall. Let me repeat. For this tall pea plant that is here in front of us, for it to be tall, it means that for the gene that codes for height color, the gene pair consisting of what? Of two alleles must have alleles that give you a tall pea plant. I'm gonna give you a second so that you absorb that. Let's recap. We say that our pea plant is tall. Because it is tall, it's yellow. It's tall, it's got yellow pods, which are constricted. It has round seeds that are green in color, and the flowers are purple. Right. But we're looking at one characteristic here, gene. Height in pea plants. Right. So for our pea plant to be tall, it must have inside within its DNA alleles that code for tall pea plants. I hope you get that. Right. Let's go back. So our tall pea plant has a gene pair that has two alleles that are making it to become tall. Good. I hope you got that. Right. Let's keep moving. An organism's genotype is represented by two letters. Let's stop there. Remember what we just agreed. We said we have a tall pea plant. And this tall pea plant, for it to become tall, it must have had a gene pair of two alleles that code for tall in the height of the plant. Right. And we said that, in other words, if this plant is tall, its genotype must contain alleles that are making it to become tall. Right. An organism's genotype, in this case, we're going to be focusing a lot on height in pea plants. Simple study. We're going to go to other organisms later, but let's deal with the poly first. We do our symbols first before we go to the part. Right. An organism's genotype is represented by two letters. Now, each letter represents one allele of the gene pair controlling the trait. Each letter represents one allele of the gene pair that controls the trait. And now, usually, the first letter of the dominant allele is used as the symbol to represent the gene. A capital letter shows the dominant allele, and the small letter will show the recessive allele. Don't worry, we'll get to it. Don't worry. We're there. The dominant allele in capital letter is always written first. Always written first. Actually, here, I want to say something here. You find that exams, you find that organisms will have, you find that learners will write the small letter first. That is wrong. It will stay wrong forever. So please, the dominant allele is in capital letters and it is always written first. Right. Remember I was talking about pea plants and height. The characteristic of plant length, in other words, height. Height in pea plants, we're going to use it as an example here. Now pea plants, remember what we said, I don't know which lesson it was, but a few lessons back. We said that pea plants have two alleles. One calls for tall, and the other one calls for short. Where are you? And the other one calls for short. In other words, a pea plant can either be tall or it can be short. Right. Walk with me. So pea plants have two alleles for plant length or height. Tall and short. Tall is dominant over short. Tall is dominant over short. This is not an example. This is not just me thinking it up in my head. Tall is actually dominant over short in pea plants. Now, if tall is dominant over short, let's go back to this. Remember what you said? Tall is dominant over short. So, usually, and we say that our pea plant is tall. But let's put that aside for now. Right. Because tau is dominant over short, and the first letter of the dominant allele is used as the symbol to represent the gene. We now know that for us to write the genotype, we now know that because tau is dominant over short, we are going to take the first letter of the dominant allele. What is our dominant allele? Our dominant allele is tau, so we'll take the first letter being what? Being T. In other words, T is going to be used to denote the genotype. But how are we going to use that same T? Right. A capital letter will show the dominant allele, and a small letter will show the recessive allele. Which letter are we using? For height in pea plants, we are using the letter T. Why T? Because tau is dominant. And because tau is dominant over short, we are supposed to take, by the rules of genetics, if we are talking about the genotype, we are supposed to take the first letter of the dominant allele and we use it as the symbol to represent the gene. So we will use the letter T to represent the gene. For what? For height in pea plants. Right, I hope you get that. And the dominant allele in capital letter. A capital letter shows the dominant allele and a small letter will show the recessive allele. In other words, when we are writing the genotype for height in pea plants, we are going to use the symbol what? The letter T. Why? Because tau is dominant over short. So for tau, the symbol is going to be for tau. And then for short, we're still using the same letter T. But this time around, because now we know that short is recessive, we will use the small letter T. I'm going to close it so that you absorb that. Yeah, but we can even pause. Right. Pause your screen and then absorb it. Right. So tau is dominant over short. Because tau is dominant over short, that means short is recessive. And because tau is dominant over short, we're going to use the first letter of tau, T, to denote the genotype that will produce for the gene for height. And a capital letter shows the dominant allele, and a small letter shows the recessive allele. The dominant allele will be written first in capital letters, and then the recessive one will follow, if there is a recessive one. So, what are we saying? The letter T, because tau is dominant over short, the letter T is used from the first letter of the word tau. So the symbols for the two alleles becomes for tau, capital letter T, and for short, small letter T. Right? What we do. A plant with the genotype, and this is a person's question. Capital letter T, two T's. Remember what we said? Let's go back to the very beginning. To the beginning. Right, here we are. I hope you're getting this. I really hope you're getting it. And I hope if you have any questions, you know where to find me. Right. What did we say? The composition of the gene pair has two alleles. for a specific trait, and this is known as the genotype. Right? Walk with me. Now, if a plant has the genotype TT, capital letters, that's what we're going to be doing right now. We're going to change these things as we go. But if the plant has that, it will appear tall. Now, bear in mind something. If you go here, the composition of the gene pair, remember that a gene pair, the two alleles, one is coming from the parent and the other one, the one is coming from the father, the other one is coming from the mother. So, if our pea plant, the one that we imagine in our heads, and we said it's here and it's a tall pea plant, and if it is here, and now we are saying that this pea plant is tall, it means that the genotype, if the plant has this genotype, it's going to appear tall. I hope you get me. And if the plant has the small letter t's, two of them, remember what we said here, that here we say that tall is denoted by the capital letter T, because tall is dominant over short. So short has a small letter T. Now, if a plant, and short is recessive over tall. Now, if a plant has this genotype, I may not see that because it's small. So this genotype, this allele is coming from the mother. Give me a second. This allele is coming from the mother. And then this one is coming from the father. The two alleles are making a gene pair for the gene for height in pea plants. Right. So, in other words, the genotype is this, and the plant with a genotype like that would then be appearing. We're on. There we go. Would then be appearing as, come on, what's happening? Would then be appearing as tall. Go. Would then appear as what is happening? Oh, yes. Would then appear as tall. Right. A gene with the allele, two small letter T's. One coming from the mother, the other one coming from the father. You don't have to write these. I'm just putting them so that you can visualize where I'm coming from. Right, so this plant with the genotype like this allele calls for short in height pea plant. And this allele short for short in height in pea plant. So this pea plant would then appear short. Right. Let's do that again. Initially, we know that a pea plant with this genotype is going to appear what? Is going to appear tall. Because this genotype, consisting of a gene pair of two alleles, allele 1 and allele 2, and both alleles are for tall. And we know that tall is dominant over the recessive short. So this allele and this allele will give us that. This allele and this allele will give us a genotype that will make the plant to appear as short. But you can have a mixture. You can have a genotype like this. A genotype like this has an allele from the gene pair that appears, an allele for tall that codes for tall, and another allele that codes for short. And these two, because we have been told and we know that tall is dominant over short, so tall is the dominant allele. That is why we wrote capital letter T first. Because tall is the dominant. And then the small letter t is for the recessive short allele. Because tau is dominant over t. If a pea plant has such a genotype, because tau is dominant over the allele for short, then this plant will then appear. In other words, it will grow to become a tall pea plant. I'm hoping you get that. If you don't get it, the comment section is there for you. Right. So let's recap. There we go. A plant with the genotype, this genotype, has two alleles for tau. Shall we do this? My smartphone today is acting up. Right, there we go. It's waking up. Has two alleles for tau and appears tau T. A pea plant with the genotype this has two alleles for short and appears short. A pea plant with a genotype that has two alleles and one is dominant and the other one is recessive has one allele for tau and one allele for short t. Now, since tau is dominant over short, the tau trait dominates the plant, dominates the short one, and the plant appears tau. I hope you got that. I really do hope you got that. Let's right. Walk with me. The observable characteristics. What you can observe, the characteristics that you can observe. For example, okay, let's finish up this. The observable characteristics, the physical appearance. In other words, when we made our pea plant in our head, how did we describe this pea plant? The one that we said was standing here. We said it is a tall pea plant because we could see, we could observe, because we could look at its physical appearance. And because of that, we know that the observable characteristics, the physical appearance of an organism, is determined by its genotype plus its environment, is known as the phenotype. Now, so what is the phenotype? Basically, the phenotype is the genotype and the environment. Let me use twins, maternal twins. That means that they're identical. As an example. Because they are identical twins, they have the same genetic makeup. Because they have the same genetic makeup, in simple terms, we are saying that they contain the same genotypes, maternal twins. So we have Anne here and Sally here, born on the same day, genetically identical. Because they are genetically identical, they have the same genotypes. But now listen to this. A sad thing happened. Anne and Sally were separated at birth. So Anne is here in South Africa. That's where she grew up. Sally ended up being in Europe from the time they were born. Now listen to this. Anne and Sally have the same genotype, but the environments that they grow up in are two different environments. Such that if they were to meet 20 years later, because of their environment, Anne and Sally will not look exactly the same. And we say that The interaction between the genotype and the environment is what is called our phenotype, how we end up appearing. I hope you got that. I hope you loved it. Before we go, or before I go, let's look at mental. Now you see why we had to talk about mental the other time, because we keep coming back to this part. Right. Let's go back to mental. I love this diagram because I don't know if you've noticed something, but here is, you see these adults at the top here are actually showing the dominant ones, and then these adults at the bottom are showing the recessive adults. Let's look at seed shape. In seed shape, we have two adults, round and wrinkled. Let's write the genotype by the laws and the guidelines that we've been given. Let's write the genotype for seed shape. Which one is dominant? Round. Round is dominant over what? Wrinkled. So which letter do we take to write the genotype? We take the letter, capital letter R. This will denote round C. And then for the recessive, and the recessive is what? Wrinkled. This we will then take the small letter R, and then we write wrinkled. I hope you get that. Right. Walk with me. Pot color. Green is dominant over yellow. Because green is dominant over the yellow, and the yellow is the recessive one, we know that when we're writing the genotype, the symbols we're going to use is that we're going to take the first letter of the dominant trait, which is green. So capital letter G will now mean the allele for green. And then small letter G will now stand for the allele for yellow pods. Green pods and yellow pods. Round seeds and wrinkled seeds. I would love you to go and do for the other ones. We'll do them. And then the next lesson, then we're going to recap first on this situation. Are we together? Right. That is the lesson. That is lesson, whatever lesson that we are on. And it is done, and it's short and sweet. I hope you enjoyed it. Any questions? You know where to find me. Thank you so much. Enjoy yourselves.